Sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has.
You may be seated. We've given thanks and we've appreciated you for being here. And you know, the real reason that we are here, an additional reason, yes, the main reason, we are honoring this great woman on this afternoon in the person of not just my friend, but our friend, Dorothy Daniels. Can you put your hands together and just give her a great round of applause? Someone says they want you to stand. Yeah. Dorothy. Wonderful. You're going to be hearing a lot more as we go ahead. I want to bring to this microphone someone I just introduced, and she was singing that song with me like she knew every word of it. I'm talking about our great Mayor Wilda. Yes, she's coming at this time. Give her a hand. Yes.
Good morning, and welcome all to the great city of Perth Amboy. I'm so excited to be here at the Puerto Rican Association for Human Development. To my friend Yvonne Lopez, she's done such a fantastic job, and she said that I would be very happy to see the participation today. And Yvonne, I congratulate you. This is such a wonderful support, and it's because of all your hard work. And I also want to welcome the Lieutenant Governor. Lieutenant Governor, you've become no stranger to the city of Perth Amboy, and we welcome you and thank you for being here with us, and to all the dignitaries here. So as we celebrate Black History Month, I have to say that we have a lot to be thankful, and I say we're blessed as a nation because of all the sacrifices that have been made throughout the forming of this nation. I have to say that, you know, when you take a look at the sacrifices that have been made, you know, the hard fight, you know, not only here in the United States, but personally, and I would say in our nation, what has happened and transpired throughout the years of the struggle. You know, I have to say that not only did they fight for our freedoms, you know, we have so much to be grateful for. And I say that we as a nation cannot forget, you know, and I say Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, a man of God. You know, he fought for the rights of the people. When he says, you know, freedom for all, he really meant that. And I say that if today we have President Obama, we have Mayor Diaz, it was because of all the struggles and the hard work, so that it gave us an opportunity so that we can walk through the doors and represent our communities. And again, we are a blessed nation, and we are blessed because of the people that fought a good fight. But today we're also honoring someone that I've known since Head Start. She was my Head Start teacher. And she says, you know, things are bad when we, you know, I can't come back and say that I actually taught the mayor of the city of Perth Amboy, but she did. So she'll say a lot later on, I'm sure. But she has worked so hard, you know. She has been such a role model and a mentor to all of us. She took these young I would say, young kids, right off, parents that came with a dream to build for their families. And Dottie was always there for us. And you heard also about what she's done through the Housing Authority. She has been a fantastic chairwoman and really have always put the community first and tried to help so many families. And I wanted to say, the last thing I do want to say is that domestic violence, she has always been at the forefront of domestic violence, always being there to help so many families. And it's not only women, but it's also men. And she's always been there to help and assist, especially the children, because the children are the ones that are always the most affected from domestic violence. And she's always been there to help everyone. So today, as we celebrate Black History Month, we have so much again to be thanking God and saying, hey, people are there that really represent us, that really want to work for the community. So I do have the Mayor Proclamation, and I am not going to read all of it, Dottie, because there are so many accolades because of everything that you have done. So many blessings to you, and I thank the Puerto Rican Association for bestowing this honor to you, because you really have earned it, and many blessings to you and your family. We're much a better city of Perth Amboy because of people like Dottie Daniels. Here I am. Yeah, this is yours. And I look over Yvonne. Is it okay, Yvonne? And here you go, the Mayor Proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Organizations are great because those individuals who are leading them are great visionaries. I'd like to bring to the microphone the executive director of this organization, this great organization. The vision to convene such a day, and this is our second annual African American History Month program. It started in the heart of this great visionary, our executive director, your friend, and she brings so many wonderful friends, her friends, to this organization to help us to continue the great work and to impact this wonderful, wonderful community. I'm talking about my friend, Yvonne Lopez. Put your hands together as she comes at this time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, I am absolutely glorified this morning. Look at this room. So many beautiful people. Today, we're celebrating our second annual African American History Month event. It is a great day. It's a great day because we're honoring and celebrating the achievements and the contributions of African Americans throughout the history of the United States. But today is also a wonderful, great day because we're honoring a dear friend, a community leader, a community hero that we all adore and love, and that's Miss Dorothy Daniels. African American History Month is a period of reflection and appreciation. We are honoring and recognizing the strength of African Americans, especially in the civil rights era. Equally, we are celebrating the African American diaspora, one of the most important cultural phenomena that have shaped the United States as a whole. Last year, PRAHD decided that the agency would honor an individual in our immediate community during the month of African American History Month, a month that highlights activism and progress. As a result, the agency created the Arturo Alfonso Schomburg Award to honor a special hero. Arturo Schomburg was an Afro-Puerto Rican dedicated to racial equality and goodwill. It is important to note that the primary Center for African American History is named after Mr. Schomburg. The renowned Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, located in New York Public Library's branch in Harlem, has at its core Schomburg's collection of over 10,000 books, manuscripts, prints, pictures, letters, and any other evidence he could find documenting African contribution to history. Schomburg was born and raised in Santurce, Puerto Rico. Stung, stung by the remarks of a teacher in Puerto Rico who told him Negroes have no history, he dedicated his life to proving that teacher wrong. Schomburg understood that knowledge of history was the route to racial dignity. In his 1925 essay, The Negro Digs in His Past, he wrote, "History must restore what slavery took away, for it is the social damage of slavery that the present generations must repair and offset." The recipient of the Arturo Alfonso Schomburg Award embodies the exceptional humanitarian and philanthropic qualities of Arturo Schomburg. This year, I have the absolute pleasure and honor of presenting our honoree, Ms. Dorothy Daniel. Dorothy is a Dorothy is a lifelong Perth Amboy resident whose concern, passion, hard work has helped to transform and improve the lives of Perth Amboy residents and the city in general. Hundreds of people through the years have been the recipients of her personal touch of assistance. Dorothy Daniel has played many roles as an educator, community activist, psychologist, domestic violence responder, housing professional, board member, and the list goes on and on and on. She has served in just about every capacity possible to further the interests of the community needy while inspiring other professionals and individuals to work towards the common goals of betterment. We saw and felt Dorothy's passion last year when Dorothy came to the agency. Dorothy was assisting a family who was being displaced from their home, and she came to me and said, "Yvonne, I need your help. I need to raise X amount of dollars so that this family, 2 boys and their dad, are not evicted from their home." And she said to me, "I need PRAHD to please provide me with seed funding so that I can use that and leverage that to the other nonprofits and the other organizations in town." And we did, because this is who we are, right? PRAHD, we help everyone. Dorothy was so successful that she raised more than she had expected. I think that she was able to even buy furniture and clothing for this family. I never forgot that day, Dorothy, because you can't say no to Dorothy. You know that, right? You can't say no to Dorothy. Dorothy often tells the story of the pact she made with God. She says, "I told God, if you give me another day full of life and helping energy, then I will use it to do your work on this earth." That is very impactful, Dorothy. And Dorothy has never stopped. Although Dorothy has been honored with a group of individuals, a single personal dedication has never been bestowed upon her. It's long overdue, Dorothy. Today is your due. Today is your day. Congratulations. It gives me great pleasure and pride to present Dorothy Daniel with this year's Arturo Alfonso Schomburg Award. Thank you, Dorothy, for your life's work. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for all that you do for everyone. So, Dorothy, we also have another little surprise for you. For those of you who may not be very familiar with PRAHD, we do operate a full-time preschool for 75 children, and we have 5 classrooms, and each of the classrooms created drawings and paintings for Dorothy as a gift. And this is for you to appreciate Dorothy and to love forever. These children adore you. And so I'm going to have the children come up one by one, and I'll hold this for you. Okay. Dorothy, you have a very special friend here today, Jackie Baker, who also has a painting for you and wanted to present you with her painting, okay?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Oh,
This
thank
lady
you
is
so
called
much.
Born Leader.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
You're
God
welcome.
bless you.
Thank you.
Okay. Pride Legacy representative, right? Wow. There are so many people here, I can't even see who's here. Thank you all for being here and coming. I am just overwhelmed with the amount of people that are here and the people that cared enough about me to want to be here. I am very blessed. I am truly blessed. But I need to explain some things because I'm a work in progress. I really am. I am a work in progress because I'm not done yet. And I've been nurtured and loved and mentored by the city of Perth Amboy. Whoever you see in front of you and all that people have said that I've done, it didn't come by accident. It came because people saw something in me that I didn't know existed. And they nurtured that and brought it out in me. That is the absolute truth. I came into this world under strange circumstances. But I will, not to get into the details, but I will say this to you. My grandmother and grandfather went to the hospital and brought me home and raised me as theirs. And my early childhood was the best early childhood that any child could ever have. And I found out much later in life, actually about 12 years ago, when I was blessed to have a professor, Bruce Perry, who came to do a lecture at Rutgers. And Rutgers being my alma mater, I went back to hear what he had to say because he's one of the foremost authorities on the growing child's brain. And I went there because I needed to understand me. I needed to understand why I was so blessed. Because I grew up with a lot of young people coming up through the ranks who had wonderful parents, wonderful, good families. And I saw them as we got older go off and mess up. And I never had the opportunity or allowed myself the opportunity to do that. And I tried my best to live the way my grandmother wanted me to live. You've heard the expression, what would God do? My expression was, what would Mama think? Because she was the most important person in my life. I had my grandmother until I was 41 years old, I believe. She died at the age of 97 and was clear and lucid up until the day she died. My girlfriends would call her up and ask her what happened on the soap operas, and she could tell them every word. She could. She started me listening to them as a child in kindergarten, because back in the day, there was no school lunch. You had to go home for lunch and then come back to school, and the guiding light and all of those would be on the radio. So I was listening to all of that. But Mama gave me love, and my grandfather gave me love. And I remember my grandmother saying to me often, God loves you. Always know that God loves you and he walks with you with his hand on your shoulder. And you may think I'm crazy, but in the hardest times, I have felt that hand. on my shoulder, and it has walked me through journeys that maybe I wouldn't have come out alive. But beyond my family, my grandmother and grandfather, and my Aunt Jane and my Aunt Edna, who I'm named after, and my Uncle Richie, and my Uncle Sonny, who was not my blood uncle. He was the husband of Edna, but he was a substitute parent for me also. I never knew him to be anything but Uncle Sonny. There were others who mentored me. And I'm going to read off a list of names here. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. But when my oldest child was ready to go into kindergarten, Flint School, that was the year Flint School opened. And that September, when I walked around the corner and brought my son to school, I was overwhelmed to have a child in school. And John Maskowitz was the principal. And he had just been assigned principal to the new school. And after about 3 weeks, he wrote a note to all of the parents, because you have to understand, back in the day, mothers stayed home. All the mothers didn't work back then. So when he wrote those notes for us to come and visit the school, we all came. And he took us there and showed us the classroom and brought us into the auditorium. And he did something that I've never seen done any other place. He decided he wanted an active PTO. And he walked around the room, just like people are here. He walked around the room and he looked at a friend of mine who's now in Florida, Carol Jansen, said, "You're going to be the president." And he walked over to me and he said, "You're going to be the vice president." And he walked over to somebody else, the treasurer. That's how we were picked. And that was the beginning of community service for me. That was my beginning. And there's a man sitting over there. He's one of my husbands, Frank Sinatra. God love that man. Yes. Frank was the superintendent at the time. And he had a committee. Frank, help me with the name of that committee, of all the PTOs together we used to meet. The Central Council, okay. And it was all of the PTO officers. We would meet regularly and plan activities for the district. And those people were Robert and Jackie Willentz, Norma Whitkin, Donna Seawich, Karen Kennett, Ann Dillman, Vince Tonello, Ann Pincelli, and Robert Fishkin. And all of those people, I believe, have passed on to their reward. But there is one person here, I don't know if she can stand, but she can at least wave, Gloria Rabovich. And you know, they all had their own homes. They all lived in different parts of Perth Amboy. And I was the girl from the projects. But it didn't matter. Nobody ever made me feel different because I lived in what they called the projects back then. I lived in Delaney Homes, but it didn't seem to matter. I was invited to everything. I was included in everything. And they were all white and I was black, but it didn't matter. And that's the way I know Perth Amboy to be. And to show you the love that is in this community. When I was in my darkest hours, there's a woman back there, Pat Cisnowski, would you stand up, please? Who used to call me periodically and simply say, "I just called to say I love you." And that would be the end of it. And she lifted me out of wherever I was, because I was going through a bad period in my life. And a man, Tom Keating, would you stand up, please? Who, when I was sick, when I was in the hospital near death, he would call me and read the Bible to me. Psalm 71, and Psalm 91. And I treasure you for that. Whoa, this is my family at this table here. My sister-in-law Linda, my niece Rhonda, my brother and sister in Christ, Mike and Marjorie Nail, my grandchildren, and my daughter. And this is where I know I haven't been that successful, because I raised my kids the way I was raised. But they got older and something is wrong. Tiffany and Kevin, they go out for sushi. They eat hummus. They eat all kinds of stuff I can't even pronounce. Cherie is now into making smoothies. My daughter Yvonne does not eat red meat. She was raised on pork chops, fried chicken, and all I know is this, that they won't eat watermelon and don't drink Kool-Aid, so where have I failed? It's the truth. And I have my other son and daughter in the middle of the room there, and one of my best friends, Delia. Raise your hand. Okay. I just want you to know that you are a phenomenal woman of substance. And what you have done with this organization, I'm just in awe of it. And I thank you for this, and I thank you for who you are and your staff. And Lily, thank you for everything you did to make this room beautiful.
I'll be very quick. It is a pleasure to be in Perth Amboy with my second favorite mayor in the state of New Jersey, Robert Diaz. Of course, not my favorite. I first met Dorothy 8 years ago when I first became the mayor at one of our summer concerts. And she came up to me and she said, I'm Dorothy Daniel from Perth Amboy. And I thought, okay. And she said, can I sit in the front row? And we had seats there that reserved for the sponsors and all their people, and I'm getting a little nervous now. What do? I want to say no. You can't, because the seats are reserved for the sponsors, but something said, don't mess with this one. Don't mess with this one. And then she turned around and gave me a bag of her 5 cans of food that she brings to every concert, and she says, now go put this over there in the bin. But we've enjoyed a great relationship. She comes to all of our shows. She still sits in the front row. She's a wonderful lady that I've come to know and really admire and really get to like. And I want to present her with a proclamation I won't read, but basically what it says is to our favorite non-resident of Woodbridge Township.
Another great job by PRAHD. PRAHD does so many great things. For the community. Obviously, it makes me especially proud that it says Puerto Rican Association for Human Development. But I just want to say, and I'm not going to read all the whereas and therefores, I've gotten to know Dorothy, and she's relentless. She is a hard-working person that gives from the heart. I saw in one of her activities throughout her career, she was on the Board of Education and she was the disciplinarian. So she has a tough hand, but she has a bigger heart, and she does it for all the right reasons for everyone, no matter who you are, where you come from. So on behalf of the Board of Chosen Freeholders from Middlesex County, the over 800,000 residents, we're the second largest county in the state, but the best. Congratulations to a well-deserved recognition for you, Dorothy. We love you. Let me just take a second to congratulate PRAHD on putting this event together and for acknowledging Black History Month. You know, it's really something special, and I think probably something uniquely American about the fact that the Puerto Rican Association is acknowledging Black History Month. And they also speaks to the very rich culture of this amazing city. But I think it's Dorothy's history we're here to talk about today, most importantly, because she is a true force of nature. And anyone who doesn't believe that should try working on a project, or worse, try saying no to her. That doesn't last long. She will drive you crazy. She is maddening. But at the end of the day, you ought to just capitulate up front because you're going to do whatever she wants. And you do that because you know that it's fundamentally right, and because she cares so very deeply. You know, I could read I'm going to read the whole resolution, but it won't. I would, but it doesn't capture all that you have done, from your involvement from early childhood activities, to being involved in the PTO, to being involved on the Board of Education, to being on the Planning Board, and now continuing throughout your life to dedicate yourselves to the service of the people of Perth Amboy. Dorothy, we are all better. This community is richer, and I am personally blessed to be able to say that you've become a friend during the few years that I've had the chance to serve in the legislature and get to know you. You make a difference each and every day. Thank you. God bless you. Let's see if we can work out a deal. You said you asked God for another day every day. Let's work out a long-term deal because we need you, kiddo. Thanks so much.
One thing about Black History Month, and I hope you don't mind, because I think it fits really well. First, two things. First, last week I was able to host about 60 high school kids from New Brunswick to see a showing of a film called Selma. On your tax dollars, and raise your hand if you object to us showing high school students the Selma movie. Right, I want everybody take a picture of that quick, 'cause I might need that later on. But the story of Selma is a story about standing up, but standing up for what is right at the right times. Lately, we've all seen people standing up for the wrong reasons at the wrong times. I think today is about Dorothy Daniels and Dorothy standing up for the right reasons at the right time and never sitting back down. You are the example of Selma. I wish you had been with us to talk to those high school students last week, because that's the story of the day. The other thing is the same speech I gave last year, Yvonne, when we talked about the first anniversary of Black History Month celebration here. Since that time, we've earned another $100,000 from the DCA. We need to applaud that. It takes really good management to get that kind of money out of the DCA, and that's what you have here in your board and in your executive director and in your leadership. But also, I think it is appropriate to talk just a little bit, not only about Selma, but about my favorite Martin Luther King speech. And you all think I'm going to say I had a dream, but it's not. It's the same story I told last year. It was the drum major speech, made 2 months before Dr. King was murdered. He talked about what he wanted to be remembered for, and I think this really fits. He didn't want to be remembered for all of his accolades. And if you remember all of his accolades, he had a Nobel Prize, he had a degree from Harvard, he had a degree from every major Ivy League school in the country, he had an attaboy from every major president, every major leader of the free world. He gave a 3-hour sermon, which I think you can sum up as follows. And this is how he wanted to be remembered. He wanted to be remembered as a drum major, but not a drum major with a Nobel Prize. He said, yes, if you want to say I was a drum major, and for those of you that don't know, that means the leader of the band. Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say I was a drum major for peace. Say I was a drum major for righteousness. And all the other shallow things, he's talking about Nobel Peace Prizes, all the other shallow things will not matter. I won't have any money to leave behind. I won't have any of the fine and luxurious things of life to leave behind. But I just want to leave a committed life behind. Then my living will not have been in vain.
I want you to say that I tried to love and serve humanity Yes, if you want to say that I was a drum major, say that I was a drum major for justice. Say that I was a drum major for peace. I was a drum major for righteousness. And all of the other shallow things will not matter. Then my living will not be in vain.
For the state of New Jersey, thank you. Thank you to all of you for the most recent contribution of $100,000. Thank you so very much. But more importantly, Lieutenant Governor and Manning, Abe, thank you for believing in our mission here at PRAHD. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for helping.
I do want to thank our staff. I have to tell you, last night's staff, they worked very late here last night, putting this beautiful event together. Everything on the tables are made by our staff. Janet, Cruz, and Lily have created everything on these tables. How beautiful. Iris, thank you for taking pictures. The entire staff at PRAHD, thank you so much. Next week, we're going to have a nice lunch together, all 760 employees, to celebrate the new year and celebrate the success of this event. Thank you very much, and I'm going to turn this over to Bob for closing remarks, and we're going to have a delicious buffet lunch. Thank you so much.
Yvonne saved me because I was going to say everything she just said. Starting with, there's a slight error in the introductions today because we actually have Governor Guaidó with us today. And I think I was reminded of something every single time that she's been with us. That's right. She's been Governor Guaidó. So I think that's a great thing, and hopefully it'll be a future thing. So, not that I'm making any announcements, because I'm not. But
Did you get that on tape?
we love having you here, and the support that you've given us. I can't say enough about it. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate everyone who's here. I'm not going to get into a whole bunch about all of those little things that the governor mentioned, but I want to focus on what's important here today in my closing remarks, and that's Dorothy. You know, so I don't get to see this woman as often as a lot of you do here, but that doesn't change the things that she's given to me personally. She has no idea, nobody has any idea that I was even going to say anything like this, but you know, she has a lot of wonderful accolades that go along with her name. She could have an alphabet after her name of things that should be there, that represent the kind of human being she is. But, you know, everybody talked about what a tough broad you are today, and I'm going to just tell you that inside that tough exterior is a lot of mush. A lot of wonderful, creamy, delicious, loving mush.
Not my pacemaker.
No. And, you know, I went to high school with her daughter. I went to grammar school with her daughter, Yvonne. We've been friends a long time, and you couldn't walk around this community without being affected by this woman. And everybody here, I'm preaching to the choir. You all know this. But I just, in my own way, wanted to thank you for stepping in. She was pretty good friends with my mom and dad, and they're both gone for a while now. And you talked about how this community made you the woman that you are. And I just want to let this community know that you helped a lot of us become the men and women that we are. Just by being there when we needed you, just like other people were there when you needed them. You were there for us, a lot of us, in our dark times, and I just want to thank you because you're one of the folks that encouraged me to get active in my community and take ownership and not just take from the community, but to give back to the community. And I've tried to follow your example in my career, in my very fortunate situation that I have a wonderful career because of this community, and I try to give back because of your guidance and your love and affection and your soft, delicious interior that you share. I want to thank you on behalf of my mom and dad for helping to make me the man that I am when they weren't here to do that. So thank you.
This morning, I would like to use as a subject from which to preach the drum major instinct, a desire to be out front, a desire to lead the parade, a desire to be first. It is something that runs the whole gamut of life. We all want to be important, to surpass others, to achieve distinction, to lead the parade. Alfred Adler, the great psychoanalyst, contends that this is the dominant impulse, this quest for recognition, this desire for attention.